Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, how is everybody doing today? What a great way to come back to doing our live sessions. I am so excited for today. We have an amazing guest. I'm sure you have seen or heard by now that today we are interviewing the one and only Vusi Thembekwayo. It's been a while coming, and as you guys might know, Vusi is quite a busy man. And so it is an absolute honor and a privilege to actually be having this conversation with him at a time such as now. So thank you to everybody that's joining us. If you are here and this is your first time, let us know where you're joining us from so that we can properly greet you. I hope that you guys are as pumped as I am, at least, for this interview. And yeah, of course, as per usual, we will wait for Instagram to just invite a couple of more people, and then we will get right into the business of the day. So if you are here, do me a favor. If you know somebody who owns a business, has a business, or even aspires to be in business, do me a favor and share. There's a little arrow button at the bottom of your screen. Just share to all your contacts. Let them know that Small Business Runway is up here and out here doing the things. Hi, Paula from Power Greens in KZN. And we are joined by someone else from Soweto in South Africa. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. It really is an exciting time. We are finally at level 1, and we hope, obviously, that things will get better and life will go back to normal. But we all know that the impact of the pandemic has been an absolutely, quite a strange one, I think. And so if you have made it this far, kudos to you. If you are still running a business, if you still, have something that is going on for you in the business world, in the entrepreneurship world, well done to you and keep going. Okay, so for all of you guys that know me, or for those of you that actually don't know me, my name is Dina Matonsela. I am a business builder. I speak, I teach, and I train small businesses on how to secure the bag. And we do this through marketing. We do this through some business trainings. We do it through online. We always are trying to give you guys practical tips and tools to to grow your business. And so I'm just gonna actually give it a few more minutes while we wait for our guest of the day to join us. I'm going to give it a few more minutes, guys. But if you are here, oh yes, okay, so our guest is officially here. And without wasting any more time, yay! Okay, so this is here, guys. Without wasting any more time, again, if you this is your first time joining us, do me a favor, don't let this be your last. Okay, all right, okay, I'm excited, okay, I'm very excited, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are also looking forward to this. So without wasting any more time, if you don't know who Vusi Thembekwayo is, you've been living under a rock, okay? Vusi Thembekwayo is the rock star of public speaking. He's a world top 12 speaker. Excuse that. So he's a world top 12 speaker. He's a best-selling author. He's an investor and a 2020 business leader, amongst other things. Everybody that's in here, help me welcome Vusi. I'm just going to add Vusi to the conversation real quick. Okay.
Well, that's exactly what I mean. Hey!
Hello.
How are you?
How are you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing this thing called life.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Life is to be done.
Let me move a bit closer to you. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's move a bit closer so we can see each other. I'm going to lift this, and I'm going to Do that and push this back, and then I'm going to sit on my table so that we can see each other. Well, there we are. So,
Okay, amazing. Doing? I'm good. Dlamane, Vembenyoni. It is an absolute privilege and an honor to have you on our platform. Yeah, so thank you so much for agreeing and actually, making it to my live stream.
I've been following your lives. I think they're so cool, man. It's like, by the way, when we met each other, you weren't doing these yet.
No, not yet. Yeah.
So when did you start doing them?
So I started late last year.
Right.
Just as a means to build up for the Small Business Runway Expo that I'm doing. And so I just started to, just hop on here, give, people practical tips and tools to grow their business. But so really,
the topic of Small Business Runway is so specific. Why did you choose that one?
Because runway is synonymous with, showing off and, marketing or displaying. And so it just made sense that, as small businesses, we need a platform, we need a runway to show off, our business, our skills, our passions, our purpose, really. Okay, Vusi, this is my interview, okay? So I want to ask you some questions here.
You better take charge, because you know me, I'll keep going.
Yes. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. I always want to, just get a background of the guest, like who Vusi comes from, just briefly, what is it, just a little bit of your background, where you come from, has entrepreneurship always been your thing, or did you just sort of come across it? And do you know what I mean? Like, who is Vusi? Where do you come from? And how does entrepreneurship fit into the whole thing?
I come from a small township in Wattville, a small township called Wattville in the East Rand. Yeah. I'm a bit of an accidental entrepreneur. Like, it's not, I think it's a bit of design, a bit of accident. And at different times in my life, I've kind of had different people go, you should. And then when I was younger, I always thought I was going to be a professional, right? So, when you're growing up, it's always like, yo, either be a lawyer or be a doctor or any one of those. So, going to the primary school. But I got to tell you, I remembered actually the other day. So when I was in primary school, I had this friend of mine called Damiano Pietriusti. Beautiful Italian name. And Damiano was the head boy I was deputy head boy. He was head boy. And one time, Damiano and I were like sitting at the grandstands, and we were just talking. And he said to me, so like, when you grow up, do you want to invent something? Don't you think it'd be really cool to invent something? And I was like, yeah. And you're going to love this. Check this out. So I said to him, I'm going to invent a car that's going to be super cool and fast. And I had in my mind, I was going to build a 8.4 liter V10 engine. It was going to generate 764 horsepowers. And the car was going to be called a VTEC for Vusi's technology. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
And then Damiano looked at me and he said, dude, cars already exist. That's not inventing. That's not. I asked, you're going to invent something. I was like, protect. I want to learn English here, right? So
yeah. So
I think my path to entrepreneurship, like many people, is a bit of design, a bit of accident, and a whole host of whatever happens, I'm not going to give up now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. And then, okay, so because I actually, when I just told the audience that I'm having you on today, I asked a couple of them to actually send through questions. And one of the questions that was when I asked Vusi, that came up, quite a bit, was, what does your morning routine look like? Like, what do you do in the morning?
It's changed a lot now. It's changed a lot now. I got to tell you that.
Of course.
Lockdown.
Yeah.
Lockdown was hell for me. I absolutely hated lockdown. But morning routine. I'm up every morning at 3:30. This is not influencer challenge. This is real. This is not influencer challenge. All right, I know.
Okay.
I've seen those videos of people going, guys, I wake up every morning at 4, and then I run, and then their parent is like, what? You? So,
you don't do that? Yeah.
So this is real. I'm up between like 3:30 and 4. I have to tell you a little secret people don't know about me. I sleep with the curtains open.
Okay.
So when I go to bed, my curtains are fully open. I can't sleep with the curtains closed. So
wow.
Between like 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm up. 4:30, I'm at the gym. I go to a gym. A very nice, it's like a private gym out in Randburg. A very nice, quiet gym called Body Conscious, owned by a phenomenal guy called Andrew Collison. It's like one of those gyms where you go at peak hours, there's like 10 people. Well, now there'll be more.
Yeah.
But at peak hours,
exactly.
There's like 10 people.
You just gave it away now.
I just gave it away. So I can't recommend this place enough. It's like such a cool, small environment. They've got the old school weights. Like the weights are still made of steel, not that rubber stuff that you find at a Virgin.
Oh my word.
Weights. So I'm there usually at about 4:30, and I'm done at the gym at about 6. So that's kind of every single morning. And then that just like really sets up my day. Drive back, I'm back at home by 6:30. If I'm really slow on the road, or sometimes I get stuck in the car listening to the radio, then I kind of come into the house at like 6:45, 7. And then I've shared my calendar before with people so they'll know I'm not BSing. I spend the first 2 hours of every single day reading. I can't recommend this enough. I learned this true story. My mentor is a guy called Professor Ajay Bala, and he taught me when I was doing my master's in London. And you're going to love this. So let me just share this very quickly.
Okay.
So Professor Bala used to make it, like we'd get to his class, right? And you got to picture it. Like the business school I went to is in the heart of London. We're in Holborn in London. To get to school, you're in the tube on the Piccadilly line. You're coming out. You're trying to catch a cab. It's cold. It's windy. It's rainy. Like there's a million things going on, right? And then we get to his class. All of us are like hyped up and tuned in. Your phone is on. Your laptop goes on. Your headphones are on. You're buzzing. And the first thing Professor Bala would make us do is put our phones down, and he would connect his iPod. He still had an iPod. He would connect his iPod to the speaker system, and he would play this like amazing meditation music. And he'd force the whole class to meditate. Wow. So I learned something incredible from Professor Bala, which is no matter how urgent things are, always take your time. No matter how fast the world is going, you always have time. Slow it down. There's no rush. There really is. I'm watching us young people today like, hey, we're rushing. You're rushing for the next job. You're rushing for the next contract. You're rushing for the next interview. You're rushing for just slow down. Like,
slow down.
Ukhanyi Dlomo once said something to me, and you're going to love this. Ukhanyi Dlomo once said to me, she said, there's a lesson from nature, which is this, that the sun is never in a rush, but sunrise is never late. So I think we're spending so much of our lives running and rushing and wanting, and it's the world around us. Like you tune into Instagram, and what's the first thing you see? Hashtag blessed, hashtag soft life, hashtag just boarded a plane, hashtag it's like, slow down, player, slow down. There's no rush. So,
slow down.
So I was answering your question. So I didn't spend that first 2 hours for me. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours is the most critical time. I read. I can tell people in the conversation what I read. I'm on Financial Times. I'm on Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. As we speak right now, my Bloomberg is busy playing on the TV. Then I jump on Business Day, Financial Mail. Financial Mail publishes every single week. So you got to, but it's Business Day, Financial Mail. And that kind of sets up my day. I understand local news. I then understand global news, particularly coming from Western media. And then I get on my Flipboard, and Flipboard is an application that pulls together different conversations from different people and things I'm interested in, and I'll read my Flipboard. Then I very quickly jump on my Medium, and there's people I follow on Medium who've published different stuff. So the point I'm making is this. I start my day first by going into my body, then into my mind. Then I get into the world, right?
Then you get into the world.
Every single time I have been involved in a Twitter war, the one constant has been I broke that routine. I either didn't go to gym or I didn't read. And so, Yeah, because so by the time I get into the Twitter wall, whoever I'm having the wall with has set up the agenda. I didn't set the agenda.
Yeah, yeah,
So I can't recommend for people enough how important it is to just set up your morning. And you don't have to wake up
yeah,
ridiculously early. You don't have to work out necessarily. Just set up your morning right. Control your diet.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
control what you're reading. Especially, you know, we talk about controlling our food diet. Control your mental diet too.
Oh
Very, very
my,
important.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. And it sounds all good and well, Vusi, right? But now let's get back to the entrepreneurs, myself and a whole lot of other people on my platform that look at your life and go, okay, Vusi is accomplished. That's why, he's got maybe the time to read, to, go inside and just, you know what I mean? But when we are affected by our day-to-day issues, like we're living from hand to mouth, Vusi, and this is the truth about entrepreneurship, I mean, even during this pandemic, we're the hardest hit. And so if you are trying to feed yourself and you're trying to, sort of like, whether you're a startup or, you're a small business owner or whatever it is, if we are worried about money, how realistic then is it to have like this conversation about, okay, go inside first. Like, do you know what I mean?
I know
What I'm
exactly what
trying
you
to
mean.
get to is basically,
But you're not
yeah,
gonna like
yeah,
it.
right?
Here's the answer to the question. Who said I don't who said
Yeah.
I don't have those problems?
Okay.
Let me share a
Got
truism with
you.
everybody in the let me share a truism with everybody in the conversation.
Yeah.
Even the wealthiest people I know have money problems. Even the wealthiest people.
Mm,
The only difference is it's the quantum. So
yeah.
somebody might have my car installment is due, 6,000
Mm,
Rand problem. I know guys who have I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday, I'm talking to a friend of mine who runs an engineering firm. And about 4.5 years ago, he raised some capital for his business, right? And a part of how the capital was structured was they did something called a mezzanine structure. The corporate finance people in the conversation will know what that means. So there was a portion
yeah.
debt, a portion equity, and the debt was structured in such a way that there was junior and senior debt. And he was saying to me that one of the debt instrument is coming due now in December. So I said, okay, how much? He said 60 million. And I said, have you got it? He said, no, we don't have the free cash flows. We don't have the money because, right, we don't have the money because of COVID and we had to reinvest money back in the business. The past 2 years has been very, very difficult. So we're not sitting on 60 million so now the conversation he's having with his banks, he's going, look, guys, when we originally did the deal and when we modeled the cash flows at this time, we were going to have about 180 million in free cash flows. Now I barely have the 60 million to pay you based on that debt. So can we roll it over? Can we restructure? So the point I'm making is very simple, which is you'd be surprised how common the issues we have actually are. Even the wealthiest people I know also have money problems. The quantum is different. Some people in this conversation have the bank is phoning me, telling me my credit card hasn't been paid. I know wealthy people who are getting, letters of the demand from the receiver going, yo, you owe us 40 million. When are we going to get our money? So never make the mistake. I think the point I'm making is if you look for reasons not to structure your life the way it works for you, you'll always find them. You'll always be busy. There'll always be something to do. There'll always be just you at the end of the day. At the end of the day, in life, you either get to choose your results or you get to choose your excuses, but you can't have both. So if you go, I'm not reading because I don't have the time. Okay, nobody has time. I mean, you understand, we don't really have time. You can't own it. Like you can't, you can't leave time behind for someone. That's not how time works. So nobody has time. Nobody owns time. Nobody has time in their income statement. You can't put time in your savings account. You can't put time in your will and leave it to your kids. So nobody has time. But what we all have is the mechanism of choosing how we use our time. And I think it's just really important. You can either choose your results or your excuses, but you can't have both.
Okay, okay. Oh my gosh, I almost just want you to continue speaking and not ask you questions because I feel like everything you're saying is relevant for this conversation. But I get you, I get you. And that makes sense. So now, in the context of then the small business entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
startup,
Mhm.
um, I mean, obviously I'm hearing now from your perspective that, that, if you have money, you can still have problems, or no matter how successful you are, you can still have problems. But I
Mhm.
want to almost assume with the COVID-19 that small businesses were the
Oh
hardest
yeah.
hit,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
It's we can't trade, it's the cash flow, and if you do you know what I mean? And so then why do you think small businesses are then the hardest hit when, something like a global pandemic happens?
That's a good question. The answer to it is actually very simple. It's this thing called dry powder. So, in my world of private equity, we call it dry powder. But to the layperson in the conversation, it's basically how much money you have sitting on the side for these kind of events. So, the average small business is very tethered to the life of the entrepreneur. And by the way, I'm talking here about
Yeah.
small businesses. I'm not talking about startups because there's a big difference between the
Okay.
two. But the
Yeah.
average small business is its finances are very tethered to the finances of the founder. So what that means is the way you start. I mean, you and I first met when you came to our masterclass here in Joburg, right? But when you first start your business, don't you love my memory? Like I'm proper, eh?
Like
But
you
when
are, no, you're good. It's the reading. I believe
so
you.
so
I believe you read. Yeah.
when you start a business, you go to what do? Just think about the average person who starts a business. You
Yeah.
use money in your credit card. If you have a bond, you take a second bond or you extend on your mortgage. If you have
Yeah.
savings, you use your savings. So from the very beginning of the idea of a small business, your source of funds is the founder of the business, right?
Yeah.
But then something interesting happens, which is the founder of the business has to work in that business. And
Yeah.
so wherever you got your funds from to start your business, you stop doing that and now you focus on your business. So the reason small businesses are very cyclical is
Yeah.
precisely because the source of funding you had before you started your business is no longer there, which means your business becomes your primary source of funding. So the minute that COVID hits, let's just think logically about what happens when something like a pandemic hits. What happens when
Yeah.
there's massive market volatility? What happens when there's hyperinflation? What happens when there
Yeah.
is a political issue? Let's just think logically. And I want to just take a step to
Yeah.
go through this properly.
Yeah.
So the biggest customers in the market for small businesses, there are two big customers. It's big
Uh,
businesses and government. If you talk to
okay.
any small business, your two biggest clients typically
Yeah.
are big businesses and
Yeah.
government.
Yeah.
Big businesses, like every business, worry about working capital and cash flow, like every business. Now,
Yeah.
because they're big, they have a far more sophisticated source of drawing funds, but they also have limitations, right? So the minute a global pandemic hits, the minute a market disruption happens, the first thing
Yeah.
big businesses do is they go through their income statement, they go right to their operating expenses, and they start looking at
Yeah.
which expenses can we cut. So that's the first thing they do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
typically, the expenses they cut are the services that the small businesses offer them. The second thing they do, and this is where entrepreneurs listening really, really have to understand this. The second thing they do is they look at who their suppliers are and how do they get better terms from their suppliers. So if for instance,
Mm.
so say for instance, you are Clicks, okay, who were in the news
Yeah.
recently, and
Yeah.
you get hit with a global pandemic and there's an issue with cash flows. What are you going to do? You go to Unilever and you say, hi, Unilever, you guys are providing us goods and we're paying you, say, 6 weeks of statement. Can we pay you 12 weeks of statement? Unilever is listed. So Unilever goes, sure, no problem. They send a notary up to the Netherlands, where I think they're based, or is it New York, one of the two. And global head office goes, sure, no problem. We'll make the capital available. And if they need the cash, they'll do a rights issue, or they'll go to the capital markets and they'll get the cash. You can't do that. So Unilever comes to you and they go, hey, you're busy supplying us with braids. Can you extend your payment terms? You go, no, I can't extend my payment terms. In fact, I need you to pay me sooner because I already have problems. And so the reason small businesses are the most affected, and it's so important for people to understand this, is because you don't have a deep, or what we call a strong balance sheet. You don't have deep pockets to finance you through a difficult time, number one. Number two, you don't have a strong enough track record that you can raise long-term finance sources. And that's a big thing that often holds you back. And by long-term track record, add reputation, credibility, and a whole host of other things. And then the third, and this is the hardest one actually, but it's the truest one, is most small business owners don't even know what I'm talking about now.
Oh my goodness.
And so think about it, right? So if you're a small business owner and you don't know that there are different funding sources, and that each of those funding sources has different advantages and disadvantages, and they have different stages of maturity. If you don't know that, then what you look for is robbing Peter to pay Paul. So it's you're not taking a step back and going, hold on. Simple question to the small business people watching this conversation. What is your capital structure? Simple question. And you guys can leave a comments and tell us. Like, do you even understand what the word capital structure means? Don't log off the live, go to Google, check, and then come back. Like you actually understand. You actually understand what is a capital structure. So you know, if you don't understand capital structure, it means you don't really then understand why we talk about capital structure and why that's really, really important in terms of how you fund your business. Now, the biggest issue, which is why I started doing my masterclasses, what I realized was that most entrepreneurs were dying, not because you weren't working hard or your product didn't make sense or you weren't, you know, it's just because you didn't understand these very simple concepts. So you didn't know, people don't know that you can go to your bank and go, hey guys, can you guys offer me a soft lending facility that's linked to my cash flows? And your bank will say to you, send us your cash flows. Let's understand your flow of cash. And let's see if we can make available for you funding sources that meet your cash flows. So what you should be doing, the minute you've got a business that generates cash flows that are predictable, you should be modeling what your cash flows look like, going to your bank and saying, guys, I'm going to have R1 million shortfall. But the shortfall isn't profit, it's cash. Let me slow down. The shortfall isn't profit, it's cash, which means you're billing, but when you're earning the money is different to the date at which you sent the invoice. You then want to go to the bank and say, can you guys give me a R1 million facility just to bridge this gap between revenue and cash flows? Most business people don't know this stuff. Why? Because you started a business that wants to, I don't know, sell water or make mouse or, you know, these beautiful flowers that I've got on my table. You just wanted to make flowers. And you're very good at picking the lilies and the roses and the tulips and the colors. The minute people talk about capital structure, you go, now I don't want to know. And so that's, I think, is why small businesses are so cyclical.
And so then how do we then start to bridge that gap, Vusi? Because I know with me, when I started Small Business Runway, it was to have these events where we could actually just break down, you know, all these concepts of cash flow, of business management, of strategy, of, you know, even marketing in such a way that is simple for the ordinary, you know, businessman to understand. You know, a lot of small businesses start a business because they're either trying to make money or it's some other passion of theirs. But we don't really have the knowledge of how to actually run a business. So now how do we bridge that gap? Like where do we go for help? You know, just to start to better understand the whole concept of actually having a business. What can we do?
That's such a powerful question. And I want to answer your question this way. The first thing you have to realize is that there is a difference between education and knowledge. Okay. So the problem with many people is they think education is knowledge. These are not the same things. So you might not be educated, but there is knowledge everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
In my mind, I have to tell you, you have no excuse not to know. Not in today's world of the internet and YouTube. Do you know how many small business experts have YouTube channels right now where they're publishing everything you need to know about your small business? So if you can tell me the latest house song, you can tell me when the rapper releases the next track, you can tell me when the state capture inquiry is repossessing people's assets, but you can't tell me how to calculate cash flow in a small business, and you run a small business, then you, my friend, you don't have an education problem, you have a knowledge problem. And your knowledge problem is because you're spending your time educating yourself on things that don't advance you. You're reading the wrong material. You're checking the wrong trends. You're following the wrong stuff. You're commenting on things that don't grow you. So it really is about being mature and focusing your attention on the shit that matters. That's what you have to do, right? So the first thing is, all knowledge today, all knowledge is freely available on the internet. All knowledge, right? So who are you watching on YouTube? What channels are you following? Who are you following on IG, right? What websites are you subscribed to? Are you subscribed to Flipboard? Are you on Medium? Are you on Curio? Are you on Bloomberg? Because if you're not reading that material, you're not going to know these things, right? Then the second thing I want to say to you is, and I'm going to upset a few people, but there's a difference between an accountant and a financier. Those are not the same things. So what small business people do is you have an accountant. Your accountant's job is to make sure that your cash book balances. Like a good accountant must make sure the cash book balances. He must make sure that the reconciliation is reconciled. That's your accountant's job. So what accountants do is they look retrospectively at your business and they make sure that all of the affairs of your business have been captured correctly. That's the job of an accountant. The job of a financier is to say, I assume this information your accountant has given me is correct. What do the finances of your business look like so that we can model them for the future and make sure you have sufficient funding sources? Those are very different things. Now, there are some accountants who can do phenomenal work as financiers, but not all accountants are financiers, right? So I often hear small business people, like they'll come and talk to me and they'll go, I'll give you an example. One sitting on my table, somebody comes and says, yo, I'm looking for funding for X, Y, and Z. And I go, oh, okay, that's cool. And the first question I asked this person, I said to them, what are your gross margins? And they said, I'm not sure. I must ask my accountant. I said, no, but chief, I'm not even asking you net margins. I'm asking you gross margins. If you're selling an item for 2 Rand, how much did it cost you to make it? He goes, oh, 50 cents. So I said, oh, okay, 50 cents to make 2 Rand 50 cents to make 2 Rand to sell. I said, yeah. I said, you've got great margins. So I said, what's the problem? He said, my product, this is a true story. He said, my product isn't moving. I said, why is your product not moving? He said, because my competitors are cheaper. I said, why are your competitors cheaper? He says, I don't know. They sell for about 1 Rand 20. So I was like, no, but then something doesn't make sense. If you're making for 50 cents, why are you selling for 2 Rand? You can sell for 1 Rand, right? And he couldn't answer the question. And I think he couldn't answer the question because he misunderstood gross margins for net margins. And so he didn't understand what those two things are. So guys, it's really, really important. It's your business. No one's going to come and save you. No one's going to fix your problems for you. Spend time educating yourself on the things that matter, right? I often say to people, I would actually, if you're a small business, a management accountant is far more important. It's more important than an auditor. A good management accountant. So somebody with like a SEMA qualification or any of those, they are far more necessary for you as a small business than an auditor.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. An auditor's job is statutory. An auditor shows up at the end of the year and makes sure that your information is correct. They check, they audit. A management accountant is supposed to be your best friend, holding your hand, making sure that you understand exactly what's happening in your business at every single turn.
Yeah.
There's a big, big difference between these things.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, I mean, in my community, right, there's this thing about small businesses. There's this whole thing of like adding value versus making money. So, you know, most people, you know, are on some just add value, right? So, I mean, for you, what is more important? Is it adding the value or making the money?
What's the difference? Maybe I'm not sure I understand.
So adding value is just, I mean, just adding value is giving me something that I need in my business to reach whatever goals that I have. That's adding value. Making money is more of a transaction, I would assume.
I mean, so look, right? I think one of the questions you have to ask yourself when you start your business is, why are you starting your business? That's probably the most important question. Because the reason you start your business, then it becomes the Bible for how you act. So if you are starting a business, and let's be honest, right? Let's be honest here. Let's cut the crap, right? Most people that start small businesses start their business for two reasons. One, you either got retrenched, you lost your job, you couldn't find a job, and you needed an income. Two, you want to make money. Lots of it, right? There are a lot of people watching this conversation going, I used to work somewhere and I saw what my boss was making and I was like, nah, I can do this and make the money myself, right? Yeah. So if that's why you start your business, then you're always going to act differently. In other words, the person who wants to make money, you will always migrate to the next opportunity to make money. So if you start out selling pens and then somebody convincing you that selling notepads makes more money than pens, you're going to start selling notepads. And the minute you start selling notepads, somebody tells you that selling tablets makes more money than notepads, you're going to start selling tablets. And you find a lot of these, and there are a lot of these very successful small businesses, don't misunderstand me, they're incredibly successful. But they always migrating from the one thing to the next thing to the next thing because there's a greater opportunity to make money. Now, if that's your business, you're not really worried about value. You're just worried about money, right? Money, yeah. Value, though, is the opportunity to unlock deeper relationships with your clients, right? Now, where I differ with a lot of people who give advice to small businesses, the little that I can give, is I think you should always be paid for the value that you offer. Yeah. If you give it away for free, it's not value, it's a donation. Call it what it is, right? So if you give it away for free, it's not value, it's a donation. And I see a lot of people going, I'm going to do this for free and I'm going to do this for free. I'm going to show value. No, that's a donation. That's not value, right? A value always has price attached to it. So let me share with you like some of the ways we do it, right, in our own firm. So say, for instance, I was doing something for a client. I'll give you a good example now. Somebody came to me and they asked me to speak at a thing. And you know, my team told them what I charged, and they were like, "Whoa, we can't afford that, but we'd love to have him," right? Yeah. And then they showed me what they do, and I was like, "This is actually pretty cool. Like, I wouldn't mind speaking at their thing, but I can't now charge them my retail price." So I said to them, "Here's what we'll do. You're going to give me, I think it was 45K or whatever. So I said, give me 45,000 Rand, and I'm going to donate it to my favorite charity. That's the first thing you're going to do. So you're not going to pay me my price, but you're going to give me this amount of money, and I'm going to donate it to a charity." Then I said to them, the second thing I'm going to do for you is I'm going to send you an invoice of my actual price. Okay. Then I'm going to give you a discount of my price so that the net amount on the invoice is zero. But make no mistake, you will know exactly how much I charge, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how you protect your value in the marketplace. So what I'm saying to entrepreneurs listening to this is anyone can get customers if you give what you do away for free. Anyone. Like if you stood at the corner and gave it away for free, that's not a business, that's a charity. So if you offer value, you are absolutely 110% allowed to make money. And don't let people guilt you out of the money you should make. Don't allow that, right? If the answer is I can't afford it, then say I can't afford it. Just say it. Then let's have an affordability conversation, right? And last thing, and let me just add this, last thing for people in this conversation is the most important thing you must be able to do is walk away. It's a bit like being in a relationship or dating. You can't stay for anything. You can't go, well, yeah, I'm shy, I'm going to stay because I love him. Like, that's just, that clearly doesn't work. So what you can't do in a business relationship is go, well, I need you as a customer, so I'm going to take whatever you're offering me. No. Like, if you feel that the price point is beneath the value you're offering, I would absolutely 110% recommend that you leave. And you find another client. Because what I found in my experience is that if you take the crumbs, the bakery will never come. It's funny what let me just say this very quickly as it's in my head. If you take the crumbs, what happens is the crumbs take up so much of your time, so much of your creativity, so much of yourself that you can't even go looking for the bakery anymore. And so what ends up happening is you start replacing one crumbs with another crumbs. And you get caught. That's why I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of people that run small businesses stay small forever. Because you get caught. What happens is you get caught in this trap of going from one small customer to another small customer to another small customer. Just have the ability to put a full stop, start a new paragraph and say, I'm done with that. I'm going to do this now. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it doesn't come without sacrifice. I'm not saying you're just going to do it and there won't be any mistakes or pain in the middle. Of course there is. That's what makes the middle so messy. Read the book, The Messy Middle. That's what makes the middle so messy. But at the end of the day, you have to choose what kind of business you want and where you see your business going.
No, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear, and I'm sure the people that are here can actually just agree with you on that one. What are the biggest lessons that you've learned in the past, like 6 months, that you can share with us? The biggest lessons.
You ain't ready for this.
We got time.
Biggest lessons learned. Biggest lesson. First one was that I started thinking, oh, damn girl. The first lesson is that I forgot who I was and I let my environment tell me who I am. And that's human, I suppose. So if you have global level of talent and you are top 1% of intelligence, but you live in a fish tank, you start thinking you're a fish, right? I think you were at the masterclass where I said to people, a fish in a fish tank doesn't know that God didn't design fish tanks. It doesn't know that there's an entire ocean out there of different types of species. It doesn't know. It's a fish in a fish tank. So for the fish in a fish tank, the world is this tiny little bowl where it circles every single 15 seconds. It doesn't know that the land mass of Earth is a fraction the size of the oceans out there. And so the first thing I was reminded of during lockdown was there was a point during lockdown I couldn't recognize myself. I was like, how the hell did I do that? And I realized it was because I was in this little cocoon for so long, I forgot who I am. Like I forgot that I occupy global stages. I forgot that I have an incredibly influential name. I forgot that I get invited into conversations that I would have never thought about before. I forgot. And I was like, so how did I start thinking so small? And I realized it's because my mental diet was wrong. I was feeding on the wrong stuff. I was in the wrong conversations with the wrong people. So that was the one. The second one was that I got lazy by thinking that for everything I needed to do, I needed to hire someone to do it. So for me, what's happened is I've downscaled my business in terms of the number of people, but you will not believe the incredible stuff we've been able to do. Because with fewer people, there is more transparency, and I'm carrying less dead weight. See, what happens when you've got a lot of people is you start carrying dead weight. So when someone doesn't deliver, it's the South African labor law. Someone doesn't deliver, you can't just fire them. You must follow the process. Now you didn't start a business to do industrial relations. You started a business to sell a product. But then what happens is you get caught doing IR meetings, and then there's politics. Mang Mang doesn't like Mang Mang. Mang Mang doesn't talk to Mang Mang. And you're like, wait a minute, I just started my business because I wanted to make cookies and sell them. Why am I doing this stuff, right? So the best advice I can give to every single entrepreneur watching this conversation is watch your hires very, very carefully. If you can keep your team small, keep your team small. It doesn't follow that you know, we have this ego thing attached to South African businesses. Like when you say to people you're an entrepreneur, how do they know you're successful? Nobody asks you what your turnover is, because that's rude. So the first thing they ask you is, how many people do you employ?
How many employees?
Almost as if the number of employees you have is a sign of how successful you are. That's rubbish. That's rubbish. There's 3 questions.
Okay, I'm guilty.
Hey?
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Exactly. I mean, it's the environment. It's not your fault. That's why I said be careful how your environment shapes you. What do you hear? Every single time they're talking about businesses on the news, what do they talk about? How many job creation, job creation, job creation?
Yes.
Guys, listen. If you're an entrepreneur, there's 933 entrepreneurs listening to this conversation. Listen to me, because I want to say it once and once only.
Okay.
The entrepreneur's job is not job creation. That's not your job. Your job is value creation. Job creation is Cyril Ramaphosa's job. It's not yours and my job. Right? Do you think Donald Trump phones Mark Zuckerberg and goes, how many jobs did you create this month? No. He doesn't ask him that. So why are entrepreneurs guilted into this thing of job creation all the time? Your job is value creation. Start a business and make sure that what you make is less than what it costs you to make it. Value.
Yes.
How many people come out of that is a function of the value you create, right? So when people ask, how many people do you employ? Say myself, Utul, end of story. At the end of the day, right, there's more value in having R1 billion business that employs 5 people than R1 billion business that employs 500 people. Now, that's not a popular conversation to have, but which business would you invest in? Which business would you put your money in? The R1 billion business that employs 5 people, or the R1 billion business that employs 500 people? Because the question is, if a R1 billion business employs 5 people, then how big is it when it employs 500 people? Does it make sense? In the scale of proportionality, it's multiples the size. So don't allow people to guilt you into this thing of job creation, job creation, job creation. It's not your job. Your job is value creation, and job creation comes out of value. Job creation is not an input. So I think that's something that's very important for entrepreneurs to remember and understand.
Sure. And then, as Vusi, then, what has been your greatest attribute? What would you say has the biggest impact in your life and has added to your success? What is that thing? I'm kind of, you know, like I'm saying, I mean, you're somewhat of a public figure. And so, I mean, from the outside, we can sit and look and, you know, try and figure out, oh, this is what Vusi did. These are the moves he made. But I think it's always interesting to know from you what you attribute your success to. You know, what has made you?
Very simple. So the first is an unrelenting work ethic. So there's just no substitute for putting in the hours, guys. There's just no substitute. Like, you know, it's like, I've got a couple of transactions I'm working on now. I'm doing the financial modeling. I'm writing the investment thesis, right? Like, there's just no substitute for putting in the hours. There is no substitute for putting in the hours. Depth in knowledge is gained through time of application. In other words, if you want to understand something really, really deep, you have to spend time applying yourself in that thing. I love using bodybuilders as an example for people to understand this. If you ever follow bodybuilders, like when you see a bodybuilder standing on a stage, right? What people go is, oh my God, he's big. What I look at is the detailing. I look at the detail of his muscles, the chisel, the size, the what they call the volume, right? Then you look at things like the sweep, which is how round that muscle is. Now, when the bodybuilder goes into the gym, he doesn't achieve that result in one day or in 1 week. And he can't consult. He can't get a consultant to come and gym and train his body. He's got to do the work himself. Building a business is exactly the same thing. So it's just an unrelenting work ethic. Yeah. The second one, and I very rarely talk about this, but the second one is that I have had amazing sponsors in my life. There are people fighting my wars. That's the VT strength, right? There are conversations happening in boardrooms right now where there are people holding up my name going, yo, this kid is the one. And I don't take those people for granted. I'm going to give you a simple example. My lawyer, who's seen me through the worst, like shit I would never say on a live. Yeah. I met him when I was 16 years old. And at the time, he used to run a law firm in Boksburg. And he sponsored a prize for public speaking at my school, Benoni High. And I won the prize because I did public speaking, and that's how we met. Yeah. He's seen, I'm 35. I met him at 16. He's been in my life for 19 years. He's seen me through all of this shit. So I have a lot of those kind of people in my life, just genuine, upright sponsors who go, we see you and we're going to meet you halfway. So I don't want people to think all you have to do is work hard and that's it. That'd be absolute rubbish. It's a lot about, it is about working hard, because when you get given those opportunities, you have to deliver. But in the ministry of life, you also have to make sure that somebody's standing at the pulpit evangelizing your name, so that when you show up, you are given the opportunity. And then I think the final thing, and I can't recommend this enough, is just the recognition that I know nothing. There are too many of us in this conversation who think we know everything. You know nothing. Wow. No, you know nothing. You know nothing. Whatever you know nothing. Right?
That is so true.
What does that mean? It means learn. It means and be open to being taught. Right? Yeah. People who know me will tell you that my favorite expression is, can you please say that in English? So I don't pretend to know everything. If I'm sitting in a conversation with you and you say something and I don't get it, I'm going to go, just say that in English.
Wait, what's that? Yeah.
Like, wait, what? Help me understand, and just be curious. Try to learn as much as you. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to. I could be talking to a historian who tells me something about these latest, they found they found a new burial site in Egypt close to the pyramids. You're going to love this. Check this out. So they found this new burial site in Egypt close to the pyramids. They dated the bodies they found, and the bodies are 2,500 years old. But they found them, they were encased in this wooden casing. So the first question that fired in my head was, wait, how did wood survive underground for 2,500 years? So what did the Egyptians know about how to preserve wood so that the underground doesn't eat it for 2,500 years? I need to understand this, right? So when you have that kind of curiosity, you're always and you recognize, I know something, but actually in the broad scheme of things, I know nothing. So you're always working hard, people on your side, sponsoring you, and just being curious and being humble with what you know. That for me has really seen me through some really, really amazing times.
Wow, that's powerful. That is so powerful. And now, Vusi, so now, if you're speaking about having those people, your sponsors, your circle, um, how do I get the right kind of people? How do I surround myself with the right, like, how do I surround myself with you, people like you? Like, how can I, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Great
Gina,
question.
I'm
Great question.
relatively, a small business runway chick, but how do I actually surround myself with the right kind of people that will
That's the easiest question
add
for
that?
me to answer. Check this out. Check this
Yeah.
out. But if you guys shared that I shared the secret, I will deny it.
Okay.
Winners, winners love to back
Yeah.
winners. That's it. So all you
Ooh.
have to do is that you are winning in
Ah.
a very small part of your life. Just win in a tiny thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you share that winning, but you don't share it from a yo, check out how amazing I am. You just go, hey man, I did this thing. It looks kind of cool. I'm winning. And then what it does, it's a bit like honey to the bees. It will attract the sponsors to you. So that's the first trick. Winners love to back winners. The second trick is the biggest fear that influential people have is that there will be nobody for them to pass their knowledge on to. So if you are humble and you ask and you're teachable, you'd be very surprised
Yeah.
who sits on the other end of the conversation because they have all of this amazing knowledge to give. Like, I mean, you know, just sit with like really, really smart people, really influential people who are moving.
Yeah.
Listen and ask really good questions, and you'd be so surprised how much they're willing to give. And then over a
Yeah.
period of time, this is the third trick, is sponsors really only emerge after you have been tested. So if you send me an email going, Vusi, be my sponsor, it's not going to happen. I don't know you. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't know you. But you and
Yeah.
I met,
Yeah.
what, two and a half years ago at my masterclass. I remember you
Yeah.
sitting right at the front, right? So
Yeah.
I remember that. But it's probably,
Yeah.
I've got a graphic memory. So when you sent me the
Yeah.
invitation to do the live, I get like 100 invitations to do these lives. I went, and when I clicked on your page, I saw your face. I was like, oh, I know her. Then I sent it through to
Yeah.
my EA, and I was like, yo, schedule this live. And so what's
Yeah.
happening is
Yeah.
you're already kind of like building the time and credibility. Now, the next person you invite onto this live, you're going to go, hey, I just had Vusi on my live. Can I have you on
Yeah.
my live? And they're going to go, oh, hold on. She's hanging out with winners. I definitely want to back her.
Wanna
And so
be
that's how
wow.
that's how the steam engine of getting these sponsors in your life works, right?
I got you. 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 Loud and clear. I got you. Okay, so we're about to wrap up this conversation. I mean, we'd love to have you here for, ever and ever. But everything, all good things come to an end. And so I just wanted to, yeah, just like any last words, like what is it that you're feeling right now, like in your spirit that, listen, this is what you want to tell small business owners at this point in time.
Easy. God, the universe, Allah, Buddha, whatever you believe in, God doesn't make mistakes. So whatever you're going through, God is allowing it to happen in your life. If you are going through a separation with your partner, if you are experiencing a loss, if you are losing your business, if you are in the middle of a business partnership that's breaking up, the path to elevation always comes through revelation. So a lot of us go on our knees and we pray to God. We say, God, please elevate me. We say, God, I'm trying to achieve this thing. Please take me there. But you can't have an elevation without a revelation. And if you read the book of Revelations, you know one thing, which is that all revelation is messy. It's hard. It's tough.
Yeah.
So I think this entire period has been a period of revelation. That literally, the year 2020, when you have perfect eyesight, what do people say? You have 2020 vision. The year 2020 has been our time to perfectly see everything. Just think about the stuff we've discovered, the things coming out at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, people's names being, you are like, what? It's almost as if there was all the stuff that was hidden and our Creator
Yeah.
is bringing it to the surface. So,
Yeah.
so don't pray away your suffering. The person you are intended to be is on the other end of the suffering.